All right, hi guys, how you doing? Chef Justin Midkiff. This is my beautiful wife Leah, and tonight we are going to be taking you through our ARDS Valentine's meal kit. With COVID and everything this year, we wanted the ability for you guys to still have a Valentine's dinner at home, and hopefully this will be a fun experience for everybody, especially yourselves at home, us here as well. So we'll give that a shot. I will be walking everybody through each of your selected courses throughout the night. And yeah, relax, have a little fun, pour yourself a glass of wine, and let's just try and have a good time with it. Alright guys, so we're going to start by making your salads. Now, the salad is actually on your courses going to be the second course. However, it is the course that holds the best. So the best thing to do in this scenario is going to be, we're going to build your salad, and we're going to set it aside so that it's ready to go while you work on some of the more intricate portions of this evening's meal. All right, so what we have, you should have a bag of mixed greens, a container of mozzarella cheese, some cherry tomatoes, 1 red onion, 1 cucumber, shredded carrots, and croutons. All right, I'm sure most of you have made a salad in your life before. So, you know, we're not going to go too in depth on this. However, I'll try and show you a couple of different cuts that you can use to help speed up your process when you are making salads at home and things like that. Oh, thank you. All right, so to start, very simply, we're just going to dump our mixed greens into the bowl. From there, shredded carrots, some cherry tomatoes, you know, and if you don't like cherry tomatoes, frankly, you don't have to put them in. No problem. I usually like to save the mozzarella for the end, so I'm going to set this aside for a second. And what we'll do next is I'll show you a couple of quick cuts that are helpful for onions and cucumbers, okay? All right, so when we slice an onion, you know, there's 100 ways to slice an onion, you know. However, here's what I like to do. We're going to just take the top off. We're going to spin it. We're going to take the root off. We don't need those. From there, we have a flat surface. Let's cut it in half. Now that the onion is halved, we can easily just take that first layer, peel it aside, peel it, and set it off to the side. Now, so we have this onion half here, right? And the way the onion's got these layers means it's already kind of sliced for us. So the best thing to do here is take it so you have cut end on left side, cut end on right side. You always want to hold your onion like this. That way, say I can't cut myself there. Use the blade and the back of your fingers. And then we're just going to make some real thin, using our left hand as the guide, and just come down it. Now let's say you need to dice an onion. Fine, let's make these cuts just slightly larger. We can pull that aside. Now we have these half rounds that we can simply chop. Okay? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and finish slicing this onion. I like my onion slices nice and thin for a salad. The thinner they are, the more flexible they are. Makes it easier to kind of get on the fork, as well as the fact that sometimes, especially right now in the winter, these red onions can be a little powerful. So nice kind of almost shaved slices, just gonna give you a little flexibility as you're eating. So onions are sliced. Again, we're just going to sprinkle those over top. Give that some nice color there. And that's the onions. Next, what we'll do is we'll move on to the cucumber. Alright, so next what we're going to do is slice this cucumber. Now I have pre-washed this cucumber after I brought it home from the store. Obviously you need to do that as well. So we're going to take this cucumber and kind of same thing. We're going to start by taking off these two ends. Now what I like to do, especially for a salad, you know, there's multiple ways we can do this. We could, again, going to use the back of your fingers here so you don't cut yourself. But we could do whole rounds. Frankly, though, I often find whole rounds to be a bit of a chore eating in a salad. So what I like to do is stand the cucumber up, slice it all the way down. From there, we're going to slice this whole thing in half again. But we're going to leave those two parts together. And then we're going to treat it just like we did the onion. Knife, back of your fingers. Cucumber. All right, so our cucumber is quartered. We're going to sprinkle that into our salad. Or eat one. Next, mozzarella cheese. Literally just sprinkle mozzarella cheese. And there's our salad. Now, croutons still go on. However, we're going to refrigerate this. So we're not going to put the croutons on until we're ready to eat. The refrigerator can make the croutons come off a little rubbery almost. And we want them dry and crunchy the way a crouton should be. So what we're going to do for now is just set this salad in the refrigerator. We're going to set our croutons aside, but this is ready to eat. We've sent dressing along that you've pre-selected with your meal. However, obviously, if you have a dressing in your fridge, I know, frankly, we have some Olive Garden dressing in here that I love, so I'm going to sprinkle a little of that on there. But, yeah, you can make your own vinaigrettes, you know, ranch, anything that you'd like. But we do have your dressings that you selected will be in your kit, okay? Alright guys, next what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the appetizer portion of your meal, which was the beef canapes. So a canape is like a cold, open-faced sandwich. So what you should have is you'll have a small container of arugula. You'll have some of your pre-seared, seasoned, etc. beef tenderloin, which is frankly delicious, cold, hot, any way you mix it. You'll have your horseradish cream sauce. You'll have some stone ground mustard, your Asiago cheese, green onions, and one ciabatta. You will need a little bit of olive oil, which I'll tell you what, I'll include like a 4-ounce little thing of olive oil. You won't need much for this, okay? But yeah, so at this point I would say it's probably pretty important to stay hydrated. You don't want to get tied up in your work too much. So, cheers. Alright, so to start, what we need to do is deal with this ciabatta. Everything else is kind of laid out for you. So what we're going to do is we want to slice rounds. Imagine you're eating bruschetta. You know, it's kind of like that. So first what I'm going to do is, honestly, we're just going to take off these little corner pieces. From there I want to split this into about 6 pieces probably. Looking for roughly 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Alright, so we're just going to come down 1, 2, 3, 4. Split that last one, 5 and 6. Okay. Now, my lovely assistant Leah, if you wouldn't mind, pour a little olive oil on this Gryffindor plate for us. And what Leah's going to do then is she's going to dip the one side. Yeah, that's plenty. So go ahead and just dip one side of the bread in the olive oil, and then we're going to lay that with the olive oil side up on. Now, I just have a foil sheet here, frankly, because I don't like doing dishes, and we just need to toast this in the oven for 3, maybe 4 minutes. We just want to get that top a little crispy so it can hold up to the sauce, give us a little crunch, a little texture in our bite, that sort of thing. You can use a baking sheet, a cookie sheet, anything like that. But again, if you just tear off a sheet of foil, you can just throw it away and you don't have to wash it. And since tonight's festivities, I'm not planning on doing dishes after dinner. So yeah, all right. We have our oven preheated to 400 degrees, and we're just going to pop this in the oven again. 4 minutes. We just want to crisp up the top of that a little bit, okay? So if you don't mind, honey, pop that in the oven. And while that's in the oven cooking, there's, again, everything is pretty well set up. You have the rest of your ingredients. If you'd like, you can grab 2 spoons that you'll need. And besides that, you can just wait the couple of minutes and drink a little. Alright, so our crostinis, our base for our canapes, have come out of the oven. Alright, and like I said, we're just going to throw that away. Alright, so now we have 6 of them. You can see they're kind of crispy. I don't know if you can hear that. They're crispy there on the top, but still soft on the bottom, which is exactly what we're after. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is take your horseradish cream, one of your spoons. Now, horseradish cream is fairly potent, as honestly most of the ingredients in this appetizer are. So you don't want to go crazy heavy on any of the ingredients, okay? But you just want a nice spread on each of the crostinis, okay? Kind of like you're putting mayonnaise on a hoagie. You don't want to go crazy with it. You want enough that there's, some of it in every bite, okay? All right. After the horseradish cream, we just want to add a little bit of arugula. Now, the arugula is kind of like, I always call it spicy lettuce. We want it in there for a number of reasons, one of which I think is texture, honestly. And the green also adds a little freshness to it. Frankly speaking, though, we're talking 2 sprigs, okay? You just want a nice 1 sprig, maybe just a little one after that. But not a ton of arugula, okay? Like I said, most of the stuff here, each part is meant to complement another. It's not necessarily a meal in itself, Alright, so we're going to place that on there. Alright. Next comes the beef of the dish, if you will. Quite literally. Alright, so Leah, if you want to help me here, we're just going to, so you have these thinly sliced, rare to medium rare pieces of beef tenderloin, okay? And we're just going to grab one, we're kind of going to fold it over a little, and then just place it on the top of your arugula, okay? And, some of these might be a little, like here's kind of a little half one, so I'm going to just take another little half one there, and we're just going to keep lining that up. Wunderbar! All right. We're getting there, folks, I promise. Okay, next up, a little bit of stone ground mustard. Now, again, this stuff as well, it's heavy hitting, okay? You don't need a lot. So we're just going to take a little dollop, just a little dollop, and very lightly spread it on the top of each little piece of beef. Okay, you don't need a lot. This will go a long way. You already kind of have a lot going on here. I'm just gonna do that. Beautiful. Okay, next we're gonna just take a little bit of this Asiago cheese. This is kind of like shaved. It's a semi-hard cheese, and we're just gonna put 1 or 2 pieces on the top of each one. Honey, if you want to help me with that. Or 3 or 4 if you're a big fan. Frankly, you guys will have plenty of the cheese, so yeah, as much as you'd like to put on is fine. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to start setting these on our plate. You can arrange these any way you want to. Alright, now that they're there, we just need a little bit of green onion. So, we're gonna take the root end off. A lot of times you'll see kind of like a skin on the green onion. We're just gonna peel that back. Texturally, it just never comes out quite as nice. We're going to just do a real quick chop here. And then, honestly, we're just going to sprinkle. It's going to give our plate some nice green. The onion's going to go really well with the beef and everything. So you want a couple, placed somewhat strategically on the top. And the rest you can just kind of garnish your plate with, okay? And so there we have our beef canapes. Now likewise, this is a cold appetizer. So currently what we have is we have our beef canapes prepped and ready. We have our garden salad prepped and ready. We need to make our entrees, and desserts are pretty much ready to go for you guys. You won't have to do much when it comes to the dessert, because by that point you should maybe be a little tipsy, also be very full, and yeah, so we're not going to work you to death tonight, okay? We want you to have a good time. All right, but so honestly, at this point we can set this aside also while we move into entree prep, and then that way when the entree's done, everything is ready, we can sit down, we can relax. Now granted, again, I'm not dictating how you eat your meal. So if you want to grab one of these bad boys right now and dig in, help yourself. Not a problem, okay? Thanks, guys. All right, guys. So, on to entrees, right? Duck. The goose of the ball, if you will, right? All right. So there's a number of things that you're going to need for this one. I'm going to walk you through it. Let's start with some equipment stuff, okay? So you received a half pan, and in it were 2 duck breasts. We'll get to that in a second. You need like a small, medium-sized sauce pot and your favorite saute, whichever one gets the hottest, okay? Whichever one pipes out some heat, that's the bad boy you want. You're going to set those on your stove. Set them aside, okay? You also received some cherry wine sauce. Seasonal. The seasonal is, I call it seasonal because It's a blend that I have used now for well over a decade. I make it at the farm. I will include some of this in. It's kosher salt, coarse black pepper, granulated garlic, in about a 2-to-1 ratio. But you don't necessarily need to know that because I already included some. But I will tell you, I use this on almost everything, especially meats. If you should always be seasoning your food, especially your meats. Do not forget salt and pepper. A little S&P, baby. S&P. All right. And then lastly, you have your pre-cut vegetables. And you're going to just do a real nice quick saute on these at the end. Super easy. We prepped them and everything like that for you, no worries. A little bit of olive oil and some cooking spray. Okay? So, now that we have all our stuff and we've gone over that, we need to open up our duck. Now, duck's an interesting poultry, if you will. It's the steak of birds, okay? Duck should not be cooked well done. It is not like chicken, excuse me. It is not like chicken or turkey. You do not want 165 degrees. So because of that, we have also included a meat thermometer in your kit. These come to you pre-calibrated, and frankly, if you do not already own one, you're very welcome because you need this constantly. More than you believe you do, I'm sure of it. But duck, we really want duck to be eaten at about 135 degrees internally, which means we want to cook it to about 125 degrees internally, and then we want to let it rest. At 135 degrees, your duck is going to be about medium rare to medium, which is the way you should be eating duck. Now, if any of you are concerned about that, you could push it a little further, but you would not want to eat duck anything past 140 to 145 degrees. 165 is well done for chicken and poultry, things of that nature. Duck will be shoe leather at 165 degrees. So you really don't want that. I know that sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo at the moment. As we're going through, you'll see it's really easy. The main point is just try real hard not to overcook your duck, okay? But, so here we go. We're going to open up these packages. Now, my staff went through, usually when we get this duck, honestly, it's got quills all over inside this skin yet. So, when I get the duck in, we go through with tweezers and we pull all that out. That is a monotonous process, which we have already done for you. It takes a lot of time and effort to go through and pull out each one of those little quills that are left over, okay? So here we have both our duck breasts, okay? What we want to do first is score the top of this. So with duck, there's a heavy amount of fat, huge amount of skin on the top of this. We want to take our knife, we're going to just kind of lay the bird out so that it's on an angle, and then we're going to put some cuts into it, okay? All right. I usually like to do my scoring on kind of an angle, so I've laid it out this way, and I'm going to take my knife and run opposite cuts. And what we want to do is we want to cut through the fat right down to the skin, not to the skin, I'm sorry, to the breast meat itself. However, we do not really want to pierce through the meat, okay? So there's one pattern that we can do, which is just real straightforward. The other way that we can do this, which is the way we do it in the restaurant more often than not, is we're going to do those same cuts. We're going to maybe keep these ones a little closer together at about 45 degrees. And then we're going to twist it and we're going to make opposite cuts. And what will happen here is when it sears, it's just going to give it a pretty pattern on the top of it. Now, we score it not just for presentation, but also because our goal in the forefront of cooking this is going to be to render a lot of this fat. Duck fat is very expensive. It's sought after. It's very rich. It has 100 uses. And today, its use is going to be saute some vegetables and make a banging dinner. All right, guys, so our duck is scored. Next thing we need to do is season it. Now, much like a steak, you need to season your duck slightly more than you think you do, all right? Steaks are beef, duck, chicken to an extent, but especially beef and duck. These are things that they need a little more salt than you usually believe. So what I usually do is, honestly, I go through and I sprinkle my season all over it, just a light amount. And then I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to give it one more pinch. And then we're just going to try and kind of rub that in a little bit. Okay. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Seasoning is so important. You don't want to spend all this time and energy, effort on this wonderful meal that you didn't salt and pepper. You know, the seasoning's job is to bring out the meat's natural flavors and, you know, make those stronger, more prominent for you, okay? Okay, so now that our duck is seasoned, the next thing that we want to do is start cooking it, right? Now, duck is interesting. What we want to do is what they call starve the duck a little bit. Again, because our goal is to render a lot of this fat. We want a good, crispy skin. As opposed to a steak, what we're going to do is we're going to put these in the pan cold with a little spray, a little olive oil, and then we're going to turn the heat on. It's kind of the opposite. You know, if we were doing a steak, we would want that pan smoking hot before we put the steak in. The duck is actually a little different than that, and we want to bring it up to temp as we're cooking the top of the breast, as it will render more fat and just make for a better finished product for you guys. Okay, so we're going to take these over, lay them in the pan, and get started. All right, guys, so here we go. We're going to start with just a touch of cooking spray, olive oil, again, maybe 2 tablespoons. And now we're going to turn the heat on. Now we are going to turn the heat on to high because we still want a good crispy skin on that duck. We're just trying to do it a little longer. So we're going to lay these skin side down first in this pan. We're just going to let those start to go. Now, this is the perfect time to also get your cherry sauce into the pot. Okay, so we're just gonna put our cherry sauce in. And this sauce we want to turn on more to about a medium heat. I have done you the pleasure of reducing the wine sauce, everything of that nature. So really at this point, you just kind of need to warm the sauce back up so you're not putting cold sauce on hot duck when we're finished. So you really only need your heat on the cherry sauce to be at about medium. If it gets to a point where it's starting to simmer, that's great. You can cover the pot, turn it on low. You just want to keep it warm until everything else is ready, okay? So we're cooking our duck at the moment. Heat's starting to come up here. We are warming up our cherry wine sauce, which is going to go over the duck. And we're just going to keep an eye on things for the moment. All right, guys, so you can see we're starting to render some fat here on our duck. We just want to give this pan a little shake, but we definitely do not want to flip this yet. Now, just a reminder, your oven was at 400 degrees during the appetizer build for your knofs. We want to leave that oven on. If you did happen to turn your oven off, no problem. Go over right now, turn it back on to 400 degrees. It should still be hot for you, and you'll be in fine shape, okay? But these duck are gonna come out of this saute pan, and we're actually gonna finish them in the oven, okay? But we're gonna continue to cook our duck skin side down for now. We can peek at it. You can see how your score marks start to look real nice. We're getting some tan there, but we really want to crisp that skin up. So we got a little ways to go. We can also see that our cherry sauce is starting to simmer, right? So we just want to give that a nice little stir, okay? This is kind of a light sauce. It should be somewhat runny. It's not really a glaze or anything. But it is meant to, you know, accent the entirety of your dish here. So we're just going to give that a little stir. And I think since that's starting to simmer, I'm just going to turn that down nice and low and let the low heat keep working that while we continue to keep an eye on our duck, okay? We probably have another, I'd say about 2 to 3 minutes until we're going to flip those yet. If your pan starts smoking, that's a good thing at this point, okay? You want your oil and your fat to be at a point that it's really going to crisp up that skin. So a little bit of smoke coming off the top is perfectly fine, no worries. Okay, so folks, let's keep checking on this. Look, we're definitely getting there. This is starting to have a real nice texture to it. Now, one of the best things that we can do, I kept telling you about the duck fat, right? So what we want to do right at this moment is we're going to tilt our pan a little bit. Now we have this pool of duck fat. We're just going to start splashing the other side. We want that duck fat to start making its way into this breast, right? We're going to start the cooking process slightly on the other side. We're still searing that skin, but we're adding fat back into it. And fat is where the flavor is, okay? So we're just gonna keep kind of ladling that. Every once in a while, give it a little shake, pull it back down, ladle again, okay? And let's sneak a peek here. Ah, beautiful. Now we're gonna give them a little flip, okay? And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to tilt our pan and start bathing it. Wonderful. All right, we're going to give it about 2 minutes here yet. And then we're going to move it into a pan. And it's going to go into the oven, okay? We just got a minute or so. Let that finish. This is starting to look real good. We got a nice sear on the bottom side, okay? We're not trying to kill it on this bottom side. The skin's where it's at, right? So, we have our half foil pan that everything came in. We're going to give that a light spray. We're going to pick up our duck, place it into the pan, skin side up. And we're actually going to ladle a little bit of this fat right back over top of it. We're going to place that in the oven, 400 degrees, uncovered. We're just going to run over there and toss her in. All right, guys, so in the oven, here we go. And shut the door. All right, guys, so next step is going to be our vegetables. But first things first, we have quite a bit of duck fat in there, all right? So what we want to do is just get some of that out. I just have another metal mixing bowl here. You could pour that in a glass measuring cup, anything where you can just pour the bulk of it out, set it aside. You're going to take a little more out. But you do want some of that duck fat to remain in the bottom of the pan. That's where we're going to cook our vegetables in. All right, so see how our pan's smoking? We got the duck fat, there's seasoning in there, so we're just gonna take our vegetables and go straight in, okay? Now we have our little bit of seasonal here. Vegetables, just like anything else, always need a little salt and pepper, so we're gonna just sprinkle that here, okay? And we've also added flavor in via the duck fat, right, which is in the bottom of this pan still, okay? We want to keep our temp up to high because we just put cold vegetables in. That's going to cool everything off. We're going to give them a little shake, and then we're basically just going to let those sit for a minute. Our sauce is doing great. It's good and warm. Our vegetables are cooking. We're very, very close, folks. At this point, I would probably start getting out some of the appetizers and things of that nature. You can set them out on your counter, because once the duck comes out of the oven and we plate everything, kind of want to just sit down and eat. We've been working real hard, drinking real hard. It's time to enjoy the fruits of our labor. So we just keep working this here, okay? We're gonna let that get good and hot. What we're looking for, again, we want to sear all this stuff a little bit. We want a little crispness on these carrots, just a little brown on that zucchini there, you know, little yellow squash, some broccoli. So we don't want to mess with this too much, all right? So for right now, we're going to probably just let that go for a little while. So the next thing that we want to do is we kind of want to get a baseline reading on where exactly we are in our duck, okay? Because again, the last thing we want to do is overcook it. So I have my meat thermometer here, right? Duck's starting to look good. Now it shouldn't be done yet, but what we want to know is, where is it at? How fast is it cooking? So we're going to take our meat thermometer here, which has a probe on it, okay? And if you see, actually, there's a very small dimple right here, okay? These thermometers are set to gauge temperature between this point and this point only. Anything above here doesn't do anything. So this is where you're taking temperature at. So we're going to take our meat thermometer, and we want to stick it right into the fattest part of the duck. What we're looking for, like I said, is approximately 125 degrees, okay? At 125 degrees, we're going to pull the duck out. We're going to wrap it in foil, and we're going to let it sit on the counter while everything else finishes. The duck will continue to cook for the next 3 to 4 minutes. It will also bleed out a little bit, which is nice for when we go to cut it, so we don't lose all those juices and everything. So, as it turns out, and for your reference point, it's been, I'd say, 3 to 4 minutes since we put it in the oven. And we are almost at 125 degrees. So I'm going to give this about another minute, maybe minute and a half. I'm going to saute our vegetables, give them a quick flip. I'm going to come right back, and we're going to pull this duck out, and then we're going to let it rest, okay? All right, guys, so we pulled the duck out. What we want to do right now is, like I said, we're going to let this rest. So we're going to take our 2 breasts out of the pan, okay? We're just going to take a little foil pack here. We're going to cover them up. We just want to let them rest for a few minutes while we're finishing everything else. Now, at the moment, Leah is working on setting up all of our plates, because we need a plate to put the duck and the vegetables and everything like that on. We can also be getting our salads out of the fridge. We can bring our canapes over, because we are literally minutes away from enjoying everything that we've worked on tonight, right? And we want to enjoy everything while it's fresh and it tastes as it should, right? So our vegetables are very, very close. I'm going to let them continue to finish while this rests, and we will pull everything else out. We'll plate and then enjoy. All right, guys, I think we're about there. So We're going to bring our sauce over. All right. Let's bring our vegetables over. Oh, good save. Leah, if you would, why don't you go ahead and put croutons on our salad a while. So we have our canapes, we're finishing our salad, we have our sauce. So let's plate the main beast here, okay? So, to start, we're going to take some of these vegetables, okay? We just want a nice, healthy portion. Probably like just left of dead center of the plate. Alright, that looks great. Wonderful. We can set that aside. Next, let's open up the duck. Okay, that's had a chance to rest, had a chance to bleed out. Looks good. Again, we use these foil packs like this because then we can just crumble it up and throw it away. Thank you. Alright, now the duck, honestly, you don't have to do anything with it. You could drape this right over right now and cut and enjoy. Frankly, I usually like to cut the duck when I'm plating it so that you can see the cook on the inside, because that's kind of the most technical part of everything that we've done. What I usually do is cut from one corner of the duck to the other corner, from here to here, kind of on a diagonal. So we're just going to cut that, and then we're going to gently place that onto our vegetables. Yeah, beautiful. Then we're going to take a little bit of our cherry wine sauce that we've been simmering. And we want to get some of the chunks of cherries in there. Now, the reason that we set the vegetables up left of center, and then the duck we did on basically center and right of center of the vegetables, is because the cherry sauce will fine on the vegetables and will taste delicious, is more meant for the duck. So what we can do then is we can take our cherry sauce and we can drop it right over the duck, and then mainly on this right side over here, right? Put a little bit of that sauce down, beautiful. And we'll do the same thing on this plate. All right, we want some of those cherries to wind up in there. Oh, it looks so good. Spoon some of that sauce over, perfect. And as always, take your towel, just wipe along the rim. Take down some of that splatter, because I know you guys are going to like Instagram this, right? Tag us in it, but that's part of the fun. You want to make it look pretty. So just wipe your splatters, your little bit of excess, okay? And there we have the duck, our canapes, and our salad. We have our first 3 courses. Again, dessert is a no-brainer. You don't have to almost do anything for the dessert. So you can just sit back, relax, enjoy. You can enjoy company, right? Yeah. Loosen the wheels a little. All right, and that's about it, guys. Bon appetit. Alright, let's try it out here. Wow, that was cooked so nicely.
That's really good with the cherry sauce.
Mm-hmm. And that skin on the duck is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I hope your guys' is as good as this is, because this one is banging. All right, guys. So at the moment, it is time to move on to the entree portion. And for that, you have selected the filet mignon. Wonderful choice. As you can see, we have a new helper. Our youngest son, Lawson, has decided to join us. He woke up from his nap. So this is now a family affair. All right. At this point, your oven should still be on. It's at 400 degrees, and you can just leave it there. You're going to start by taking the pan of mashed potatoes that I have. They're already mashed. See, everything is in it. These are ready to go. So your only job at the moment for the mashed potatoes is to get them hot. They are in a small foil pan, so you can just pop these straight into the oven right now. Honestly, if you would rather not work the oven, you can also spoon these out into a bowl, microwave them, and then just, saran it, leave it hot. The potatoes are fully cooked, they're ready to go. So all you really need to do is get them warm. I prefer the oven, and the oven's already on, so I'm going to toss those in quick. Okay, so our potatoes are in the oven. Next up, we want to, let's prep our asparagus. Okay, so asparagus is pretty easy. All you're going to want to do is hold it by the bottom here and pull down until it snaps off. Okay, so we're just going to go through and snap our asparagus.
I did not know that was a thing that you needed to do.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that you had to snap the bottoms off.
Yeah, so like you can see here where it's pretty white, and then asparagus is going to naturally, ooh, that one's pretty far down there, snap off above where it gets real tough and fibrous down here at the bottom. So that's why we're just going to go through and snap the bottoms. Okay, so our asparagus is ready to go. If you'd like, you can also just take your knife blade and clean up those bottom edges a little bit. We'll set those aside. Okay? Alright, so asparagus is prepped. I have already prepped your filet mignon as far as cleaned it and everything like that. What you have in front of you then, you should have butter, which we sent, seasonal. This is your Parmesan blend. It's Parmesan, some herbs, garlic, salt, pepper, all that kind of stuff. This is what we're going to crust the filet mignon with. And then you also have your béarnaise sauce, okay? Now this I did not yet reduce. At least I didn't reduce fully. I did emulsify everything, so that all you really have to do is warm it up. From there, you need a small saucepan and your favorite sauté. Whichever sauté pan gets the hottest, can take a little bit of a beating. That's the one that you want to be working with at the moment. Okay, so we're going to start by putting both these on the stove. Our sauté, when we put that on, we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in it, and then we're going to turn that heat on, and we're going to get it good and hot, like smoking hot, before we touch anything with the filet. Okay, right, fella? Right? Okay, so we're going to pop these on, and then I'll show you. We're going to start warming this pan up. I'm going to actually tell you what, we're going to go ahead right now, and we'll just dump the béarnaise sauce straight in. Okay, this we're going to put on the stovetop just at low. We're just warming this. It'll naturally reduce the way you need it to. Again, little olive oil, little spray, high heat. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put those on the stove, and then I'll show you what else you need to do with your filet mignon to get the rest of the ball rolling, okay? Alright guys, so I have my pan getting hot in the back over here. Asparagus is prepped. Butter. Okay, what we want to do here is we just want to cut a couple of cubes off. We're going to use it in with the steaks just to add a little more flavor to it. So I'm just going to cut off a nice little like 1/2 inch hunk. Set that aside. Then we're just going to go ahead and quarter that so we just have some nice cubes, okay? Once we have our cubed butter, we want to get our steaks, okay? And we want to season them. Now, seasoning steaks requires more seasoning than you think it does. And I know that always like kind of throws people a little bit, but like especially a filet mignon, which technically is the only lean cut of steak certified by the USDA. Okay, so the nice thing about a filet is, you know, it is from the tenderloin. It's one of the most tender pieces of steak. However, it does not have the fat marbling typically that like a ribeye would or something like that. So we definitely want to make sure that we season this thing real well. Okay, so I gave you the seasonal already. That's going to be it's kosher salt, coarse black pepper, and some granulated garlic. And we're just going to season this steak all around. We're going to kind of rub it in. Be very liberal with it, you know. If you got some on your cut, you can kind of just try and coat that whole steak. And you want a nice, even mixture on both the top and bottom. You're going to rub that in. You're going to do that same thing to both steaks, okay? Now, one thing is, since we're working with this filet, you know, the shape of a filet is pretty traditional, classic, if you will. So you want to make sure as you're rubbing it in, you know, occasionally you might misshape it a little bit. It's not a problem. Just kind of swirl it and patty it back together so you have that nice hockey puck kind of look to it. Seasoned very generously, top and bottom, and ready to go. Okay, so at this point I think we're all ready. We have our Parmesan, we have our pan, so we're going to sear these on super high heat. And then we're going to move them to the oven to finish while we finish everything else. So our mashed potatoes are in. We have our steak. We have our sauce. We have our asparagus. Let's head over to the stove and finish this thing out, huh? All right. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but this is just starting to smoke, okay? We absolutely do not want to drop these steaks until we start to see the smoke coming off of this pan. All right? Again, steaks heavily seasoned on both sides with our seasonal, okay? So we're just gonna get that olive oil swirling. We're very gently just gonna kind of put it into that pan, and as we put it in, we want to move it just a little bit. We don't want this to stick, so we're going to give it just a little wiggle as we place it into that oil, okay? Now don't push too hard. We don't want to misshape in the steak at all. There we go. What, buddy? All right. And over here you can see we have our béarnaise sauce. That's starting to get warm, very, very low heat. Just want to stir this. You do not want this to get too hot. If it starts to simmer, just shut it off right away. You can break the emulsification by getting it too hot. Okay? So we're going to keep that sear going. Now, if you remember, we also had cut some butter cubes. So now's about the time we're going to drop one of those butter cubes in. Kind of swirl that around a little bit. Get that butter good and melted, okay? We want our steaks in the hottest spot in there. Okay. Let's toss one more butter cube in. Take a peek. So as you can see, we got this nice kind of crust going here. We're going to keep working that briefly, okay, because we have maybe, what, 1.5 inches of steak to cook here, and as you can see, we've only done maybe 1/8 of an inch up the side, all right? So, butter's in the pan. We're going to tilt our pan back a little bit because we want access to this good butter, okay? But we want to leave it over the flame so it continues to cook. And then we're just gonna start spooning some of this butter up and on top of these steaks. Okay, we're gonna let that cook down through. As well as start to cook the top of the steak at the same time. This foam here is kind of exactly what you're looking for, okay? All right. You should have a nice sear on that side. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and flip it. Oh, awesome. Another pat of butter in there. Okay. And as you can see, we have that nice crust, right? We haven't gone too far down the steak with it. Just at the top. And same thing, we're gonna keep spooning here. Okay. Oh, they look great. We're gonna let them continue to sear for just another minute. Let's give our sauce a stir here. And honestly, every once in a while you just want to kind of touch this and see if it's starting to get warm. This is. So honestly, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this off for the moment. This sauce does not need to be super hot. Okay, I think our steaks are in nice shape. So we're gonna pull this out and set it in our pan for a second. And then we just need to Parmesan crust this. We're gonna leave the skillet here. I turned the heat off for the moment, but we're gonna cook our asparagus and all this butter and salt and pepper and beef bits and a little bit of fat. That's what we're gonna cook our asparagus in. Our sauce is ready to go. So we turn the heat off and just let that rest. We need to crust our steaks, pop them in the oven, and we're almost good to go, folks. I'll meet you back at the counter. All right, guys, so we're still working on entrees. Please remember, always stay hydrated, right? Don't need anybody, you know, getting into dehydration or anything like that. So please keep yourself hydrated throughout the process here. It's the lube, if you will, to keep the wheels turning, the grease. All right, get yourself a small plate, paper plate, any plate, doesn't matter. We have our Parmesan crust stuff. Whoops, a little extra. Just want to put that down on a plate. We're going to pick up our fillets and we're just going to press the top and the bottom into that mixture. And then we're going to put it back in the pan. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's the only. And then we're going to pop that right into the oven. Okay. Now, included in your kit is a meat thermometer. Okay. That's going to be a very important part of your next. Well, frankly, I'm making sure that you're eating nice, properly prepared filet mignon and not well done shoe leather filet mignon. Okay. Fillets are a sensitive steak because there's not as much fat in it. You do not want to overcook these things. At well done, it is basically shoe leather, okay? So you want to be cooking this steak internally. You know, if you want to eat it at medium rare, then you're going to want to pull it out with an internal temperature of about 125 degrees. And then you're going to let that rest, and it's going to come up to about 132. Yeah? 100. Yeah, see, this guy knows. He knows what's up. But all right, so we crusted our fillets. Our oven is preheated. We're just going to pop these in. Uncovered, nothing else, okay? Okay, guys, so now we're going to do the asparagus. As you can see, like I said, we left all our, our butter and our drippings and all that kind of stuff in. Now, we want to move our heat back to high, okay? And we're just going to drop that last pat of butter in there, okay? Swirl that around. Wonderful. We're going to lay the asparagus down into the pan. Now when we cook the asparagus in the saute like this, just want to make sure it's not too crowded, okay? For today, you guys will be fine in a long saute, but if you're ever trying to do like batches of this, let's say you're trying to cook for 10 people and you want to do asparagus in a saute like this, that's perfectly fine, but you do not want to overcrowd it, okay? So if you're trying to do asparagus for 8-10 people, work in a couple of different batches. What I would do at that point, honestly, is maybe undershoot the asparagus because you're going to have to wrap it in foil while you cook the next batch. And then hopefully at the end, you know, all the asparagus has the same texture and feel to it. We have our asparagus in the pan and our butter going. We're going to take just a pinch of that seasonal, just a pinch, and back into the pan. Because remember, there is still seasonal in this pan, right? It's just in there with all the beef drippings and things like that. But the asparagus will pick it up, without a doubt. Asparagus is super easy, so long as you don't under or overcook it. But there I have space between each of my stalks, and we're just going to give them about 2 minutes per side. So we're going to just kind of let this sit for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to flip sides. We just want to see a little crispness on the bottom of it. All right, let's see, it's been about 2 minutes. So we just want to go through here individually. Honestly, your best bet is to just start at one side of the pan and flip each piece of asparagus over, okay? See how this one's almost a perfect example. You can see how this has some brown in here, right? It's getting a little crispy. We want to just treat the opposite side the same exact way, okay? And honestly, a nice thing to do, you know, especially if you're just trying to relax, you know, it's not like you guys are cooking in a commercial kitchen right now with a bunch of people waiting on you. So what I would do at this juncture is probably just grab a sheet of foil out. That way, when your asparagus is almost done, you can just put it into a foil pack, wrap it up, it'll keep warm, it'll steam a little bit. So I'll probably undershoot this briefly because it'll continue to cook in its foil pack. So we'll pull this out, we'll put it in a foil pack, and we'll just set that aside. Our sauce is good, it's warm. Our mashed potatoes, they're getting warm, they're almost done. So once the asparagus is done, really all we need to do is start checking our steak, plate, and then we can finally enjoy this wonderful meal we've been working so hard on. All right, guys, so you can see that asparagus kind of nice and brown on all sides of it, but it's still firm. See, if I pick it up, it's not just, you know, it's got a little drape to it, but it's not flopping all over the place, okay? If it was doing that, it would be overdone and come off a little chewy. And so we're just gonna pick our asparagus up. We're gonna set it into this little foil pack, right? Boom, boom. And now our asparagus is ready. Our sauce is still looking real good. It didn't break, right? If you start to see oil separating or anything like that, just whisk it back up and get it off the heat, okay? But that looks pretty good, all right? Now, we're gonna take our meat thermometer and we're gonna go over and temp the steaks. All right, guys, so at the moment what we wanna do is check on these steaks, right? I kind of doubt that they're done, but I really wanna know where they are. the last thing I want to do is overcook this. So like I said, included in your meal kit is a meat thermometer. I'm going to be looking to pull this out at about 130 degrees, okay? 130 is going to rest to about 135, 140, which should give me a real nice medium rare, just under medium steak. If you would like yours more done, it basically moves in 5-degree increments, right? So if I'm saying we want to pull out at 130 degrees for medium rare, then we want to pull out at 135 for medium, 140 for medium well, and 145-ish for well done. Please don't cook this well done. All right, so currently on that one, we're reading 120. And in the dead center, right, we want to be in the center of the steak because that's where we're taking the temperature. And that one there's about 125. So we're going to give this just another minute, and then we're going to pull them out and let them rest, okay? So back in the oven just for a minute. At this point, I would say also check your potatoes. You know, my potatoes are done. I temped them already. But again, the potatoes are cooked. You just want to get them warm, okay? So if they're not quite hot, your steaks are almost done. You're like, I don't know if they're going to get done in the oven. Pull them out, put them in a bowl, pop them in the microwave. It's no problem. All right, guys. I think the steaks are ready, okay? So, mashed potatoes we have out, steaks here, asparagus, and béarnaise sauce, right? Now, if you remember, we're kind of getting to that point, so I'm going to ask my lovely wife, Leah, and possibly Lawson, to put the croutons on the salad a while. So if you guys want to go ahead and do that, I'm going to show you guys how to plate, okay? First thing, mashed potatoes, okay? We want to base. These steaks are going to bleed out a little bit. We have the great sauce and everything like that. We kind of want to elevate the center of the dish a bit. So we're going to just get a nice big spoonful, maybe even, yeah, there we go. All right. Now, we want to set that up almost center. You can see I'm kind of just left of center on both of those, okay? Then we're going to take our steak and we're just going to push it into the other side, so just right of center on those mashed potatoes. From there, we're going to open up our foil packet. Let our asparagus steam out, okay? And then we have our béarnaise sauce, which we just want to dress. We want it on the steak. We want a little on the mashed potatoes. Kind of want to drizzle along the bottom of the plate a little bit so we can sop everything up, right? And like I said, it goes great with the asparagus. So then we're going to take our asparagus and we're just going to drape it right in between. So that's going to come just on the mashed potatoes, right beside the steak. And then, as always, just take a towel, because I know you guys are going to Instagram it, right? I know you're going to take some pictures, you're going to post it online, tell everybody what a great job Ards did for y'all for Valentine's Day. I know, no worries. But so we're going to wipe that up so your photos look great. And voila. Okay, so here we have the filet mignon with with our sauteed asparagus, mashed potatoes, béarnaise sauce. We have our salad ready to go, and we have our beef canapes. And again, as far as dessert goes, it's going to be super simple. We're basically going to pull it out of the fridge. We're going to do a little bit of design, and then we're just going to eat. So you don't have a ton of work to do at this point. It is time to sit down, relax a little, eat, drink, be merry. All right? All right, let's try it out, huh? Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can see it from there, but look at the cook on that. It's beautiful. Cut a bite off. Want to get some of this good sauce. Maybe a little mashed taters in there.
It's very good. I like the Parmesan crust on it.
Mmm. That's delicious. How's the asparagus?
Do you want a bite?
Wunderbar. No, very good. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope yours is as good as ours. Enjoy. Finish your meals up and then check back. I'll show you how to plate dessert quick, and then you guys can move on with the rest of your evening. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed your meals thus far, right? We got one more to go, one more course if you will, the final stretch. And again, super easy, everybody's favorite part, dessert, right? Honestly, there's a ton we can do, but I just want to show you one technique that's honestly one of my favorite for plating desserts. It's a nice, classy kind of look to it, and it takes literally nothing at all to do. Okay, so what we want to do is I sent you some chocolate syrup. You're going to take a little bit of this chocolate syrup and you're going to drizzle it just in the dead center of the plate. You want a puddle, okay? This part's a little messy, but it's Valentine's Day. I'm sure you two can figure it out. Oh, we unwrapped that. Sorry. But, so for the splatter, we have this puddle, and we have a fairly large spoon. You typically, like a teaspoon or something won't really work. You want like a bigger kind of serving spoon almost. Okay? We're going to hold it between our two fingers, and then we are simply going to splatter the puddle. Okay, that's just going to give us some nice stuff on the outside. Then we're going to take this cheesecake. Which, speaking of which, I know many of you are not aware of this, but my wife Leah is actually our baker. So while I do all the other steaks and all of that stuff, this is not something I can do. But this beautiful woman right here can. So, count your lucky stars. But we're just going to put that dead center, and literally that's it. Cake is ready to eat. You have your nice kind of chocolate sauce splatter. Now I will say, while this is not included in your kit, I don't know if you already have whipped cream for the evening or not, but here you can always just dial up a little whip. Alright guys, enjoy. Alright guys, so we're on to the last round, dessert. And this one's real easy, I promise. So you have this lava cake, which is in an oven-safe, bakeable little dish, okay? So you're just going to take the plastic wrapper off the outside of it, put it on a sheet tray with the open side up, okay? And you're just going to pop that in your oven, which should still be at 400 degrees. Pop that in the oven for about 14 to 16 minutes, okay? So we're just going to do that real quick, and then super easy. You guys be on with the rest of your night, okay? Alright guys, great. So it's been about 14 minutes or so. The lava cake just came out, so we're ready to go. I did want to show you a real quick, super simple garnish that I use a lot of times for desserts. At the restaurant and stuff. It's real easy, kind of has that nice kind of modern look to it. So we're going to take a little bit of chocolate sauce and we're just going to pour that, just a little puddle right in the center of the plate, okay? And then from there, we're going to take the back of a spoon and we're just going to kind of hold it in our fingers like this, and we're going to gently slap it down. Perfect. Which just gives us this nice splatter, okay? From there, we take our baked lava cake and we're just going to gently work it out of there upside down. Beautiful. And then if you'd like, put a little bit of whipped cream right on the top. All right, let's check it out. Should be all melty and molten in there. Oh my goodness. Now it will be hot in the inside, okay? Yeah, that'll do. All right, guys. It's been great spending this evening with you. I hope you all had as much fun as we did. And that's about it. Keep posted on our website, Instagram pages, things like that. And again, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys really enjoyed this evening.